You know that feeling when you try to explain something you think you understand, and a 5-year-old's follow-up question makes you realize you know absolutely nothing. It's a special kind of intellectual freefall. Well, today, we're celebrating that exact moment by exploring the kid questions that break scientists' brains, the deceptively simple inquiries that send physicists and philosophers into a full-blown existential spiral. Let's get right into it. Number 1 is the question of where forgotten thoughts go. You're standing in the kitchen, trying to remember why you walked in there. You know the thought existed just moments ago. It was a beautiful, fully formed thought, probably about snacks. And then, poof, it's gone, vanished. A tiny human tugs on your shirt and asks, "Where did it go?" And suddenly, you're not just annoyed about your failing memory, you're contemplating the geography of consciousness. Scientists can explain the mechanics of memory, how neural pathways are formed, and how they can decay. But that doesn't answer the question. It's like describing the chemistry of ash to someone asking where the fire went. Does the thought just cease to exist? Does it get shredded by some kind of mental paper shredder? Or is there a cosmic lost and found, a vast, dusty warehouse where forgotten thoughts are stored next to single socks and the punchlines to jokes you can never remember? It's a question that blurs the line between neuroscience and metaphysics, forcing us to admit that for all we know about the brain's hardware, the software remains a beautiful, frustrating ghost in the machine. Okay, try this right now. Try to tickle yourself. Go on, I'll wait. Did it work? Of course not. You just looked a bit weird for a second. Now a kid sees this and asks the obvious, why can't I tickle myself? This one actually has a fantastic scientific answer, but it reveals something bizarre about your brain. The culprit is a part of your brain called the cerebellum, which sits at the back and basically acts as the universe's biggest spoiler alert generator. The cerebellum's job is to predict the sensory consequences of your own movements. When you move your fingers to tickle your ribs, your cerebellum broadcasts a message to the rest of your brain saying, "Incoming, friendly fingers." Do not panic. I repeat, the weird touch sensation is our own fault. Because the element of surprise is gone, the tickle sensation is canceled out. An external tickle, however, is unpredictable. The brain can't see it coming, so it freaks out, triggering the laugh, squirm, flail response we all know and love. Basically, your own brain is so obsessed with your safety that it refuses to let you have this one, simple, chaotic joy. Thanks, cerebellum, you're a real pal. This is the big one, the undisputed champion of brain-breaking kid questions. You've just finished explaining the Big Bang, maybe you even used a balloon to show how the universe is expanding. You're feeling like a regular Bill Nye. Then, the child looks at you with a placid, unbothered expression and asks, "Okay, but what was there before that?" Cue the sound of 1,000 physicists quietly weeping into their equations. This question is so hard because our entire understanding of reality is built on the concepts of time, space, and causality. But according to the theory of the Big Bang, time and space began at the singularity. Asking what happened before the Big Bang is like asking what's north of the North Pole. The concept of before literally doesn't apply. Our brains, which evolved to figure out when the fruit is ripe and where the lions are hiding, just aren't wired to comprehend a state of timeless, spaceless nothingness from which everything erupted. Scientists can offer speculative theories, colliding brains in higher dimensions, cyclical universes, but the honest-to-goodness answer is a cosmic shrug. And it's all thanks to a question that was probably asked by someone who still needs help tying their shoes. Number 4 is the seemingly simple question, what color is a mirror? Go ahead, look at one. It's mirror-colored. Silver, it's just reflective, right? It doesn't have a color, it borrows the color of whatever is in front of it. That's what we all think. But this answer is a lie. A beautiful, shiny lie. A theoretically perfect mirror, one that reflects 100% of the light that hits it, would reflect all wavelengths of visible light equally. Our brains would interpret this perfect reflection of the entire spectrum as white. But here on planet Earth, perfect mirrors don't exist. Every real mirror you've ever looked into absorbs a tiny, almost infinitesimal amount of light. And the specific wavelengths that our standard mirrors are best at reflecting are in the green part of the spectrum. You can actually see this for yourself. If you place two mirrors facing each other, you create a mirror tunnel, right? Look deep into that tunnel. The farther you go, the more the image degrades and the greener it gets, because that tiny green bias is being multiplied over and over with each reflection. So yes, that object on your wall that shows you just how tired you look every morning has a secret. It's a very, very, very pale shade of green. You will never be able to unsee that now. You're welcome. At number 5, we have the eternal question. What is my dog thinking? You see your dog staring intently at a wall or chasing its own tail with the focus of a particle physicist, and you have to wonder. Is he contemplating the squirrel's recent violation of treaty boundaries? Is he pondering the ephemeral nature of the squeaky toy he just de-squeaked? Or is the dial tone of an empty universe just echoing between his floppy ears? This question stumps scientists because it runs headfirst into something called the problem of other minds. We can't know the subjective experience of another being. We can observe behavior, we can scan their brains and see which parts light up, but we can never truly know if they have an internal monologue. Does a dog think in barks, in smells, in abstract concepts of good boy and bad vacuum cleaner? A dog can learn the sound walk, but does it have the word walk floating in its head? The barrier between animal communication and human language is vast and mysterious. For all we know, your cat has already solved quantum gravity and is just deeply, deeply disappointed in your clumsy attempts to operate a can opener. We are separated by the great, unbreachable wall of consciousness, and we can only stand on our side, guessing. And at number 6, we have the final boss of kid questions, the one that makes what was before the Big Bang look like simple arithmetic. Why is there anything? This is it. This is the question. Why is there a universe, a planet, a you, a me, a concept of why instead of just nothing? Not empty space, not a void, but the absolute, total absence of everything forever. This isn't a physics question. It's a metaphysics question. Physics is brilliant at explaining how the something works once it's here. It gives us rules, forces, and equations to describe the unfolding of the cosmos, but it can't explain the initial premise. Why does the game exist at all? Any scientific attempt to answer it just pushes the problem back a step. Oh, our universe came from a multiverse. Okay, cool. Why is there a multiverse instead of nothing? It's turtles all the way down, until you run out of turtles and find a sign that just says, because. It is the ultimate, unanswerable question that exposes the most fundamental limit of our knowledge. We can study the contents of the box, but we'll never know why there's a box in the first place. And for our final number, what is time, really? We experience it every second of our lives. It's a one-way street. The past is a memory, the future is a mystery, and we're all stuck on this perpetually moving treadmill called now. It feels fundamental, obvious, and non-negotiable. So a kid asks, what is it? And you open your mouth to say, it's, time, because the real scientific answer will make your brain melt and drip out of your ears. Here's the problem. At the most fundamental level of physics, the laws that govern reality don't really care about the direction of time. Most equations in quantum mechanics and general relativity work perfectly whether you run them forwards or backwards. A film of two particles colliding would look just as plausible in reverse. So why does our big, clunky, everyday world have such a powerful, irreversible arrow of time? Why do eggs smash but never unsmash? The leading theory is something called entropy, the idea that systems naturally move from order to disorder. The universe started in a very neat, orderly state and has been getting messier ever since. Our sense of time might just be us experiencing this one-way slide into cosmic chaos. Some physicists go even further, suggesting that the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in a block universe, and our consciousness is just a spotlight moving along it, creating the illusion of flow. So, when a kid asks what time is, scientists are basically forced to admit that our most basic experience of reality is either a side effect of universal messiness or a total fabrication of our own minds. Either way, you're still going to be late on Monday. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.